So let's add a brand new location to the system. This is kind of how you're going to use the server to kind of group all of your gear, you know, anything it discovers, and any templates that you want to write. Um, so the first thing you'll do is you go to the add location. What we want to do is look at the sample hierarchy here. It's going to go site, which will be your parent building, or your parent container. You'll have building, room, closet, rack, etc. So I'm going to call this my master lab. When you're creating the parent container, you do not have to put in a location. It's going to assign one automatically. Once you create these child locations, from there it's going to give you the option to kind of associate it with a parent site. From here we can fill out any other address information if you'd like, contact information, any of that fun stuff. I left this so you do not have to follow a specific order as far as your phone number goes, so it'll give you kind of an option if you want to put more than one in here. You can do something similar to this. And this is more of a user's choice. You want to do that, great. That'll let you put more phone numbers for a single contact. You can also add multiple contacts. So if you want to add in a secondary contact, you can do that. And then you save it. This parent container is more or less used to group up locations. So like if you decide to set your master building or your main company's name or your sub company's name, you could do that from here. This is where you would add child locations. Let's just say I want to add a building, and I'm going to add, let's see, one. And this should give me the option to associate it with my parent container. You can either search by this parent ID, or you should be able to do the name. You can fill out all of this stuff here as well if you want. I'm not going to do that right now. And then from here, I'm going to add one more child location for, I'm just going to put in a room here. Parent location for this is going to be the building that we just created. You can do the same thing as far as searching it. And then same thing here. You can have individual contacts, address information, and whatnot. This profiles tab that you might have seen on the top, this is used for when you write templates that you want to be associated to that particular room. So if I decide to write a configlet script on this website and I only wanted to apply to devices that are in this particular room, building floor or whatever, I can add them here. I'll get into that later. This is more for device management. From here, now you've got your locations here. You can search a bunch of things here. So if I want to look up the parent site ID, oops, I can. If you click on the parent site ID, this will give you a list of all of these. So you'll get your parent and your children. You can rearrange these if you have multiple rooms. So if you want to put another room in here and you don't like the order, you can change that. This just helps you, have a nicer view of how the webs or how your locations are organized. From here, if you've already got kind of an idea of how you're going to label your gear, for example, you can put in a custom rule here that says, hey, I want to group any particular gear with a certain host name, and I want it to go to, say, this room here. You can do that. See, if I go to view this location, you'll see there's no gear here because this is the very first configuration for this. So what we will do, we can go back to locations. We're going to make a quick rule that says if it sees any devices with whatever host name, and if it matches a rule, it's going to stick it into room 109. So you'll go here. You can see there's no rules active right now, so we're going to add a rule. We're going to call this room 109. And you can associate whatever you want or change the names, doesn't really matter. This is basically done by a regex pattern, so I've got one built already. I follow the standard just from my lab gear, starts with lab, my room is my next one. And I can tell it to either match the host name or the device IP or device type. So case sensitive or case insensitive. And you can set the priority. So you can have multiple rooms and you can have one room with multiple rules, but you can have it go into a different rule based on the order that you set these rules. So if I want to set like a higher priority to this that says, hey, just group any device that has some flag and stick it in the building itself and not the room, you can do that. Then you can get more granular and you can have it organize it to say just this room. So I could just have something that follows this standard where it's got to start with lab, or I can specifically do that full standard and say, hey, I want it, if it's in room 109, to go into room 109. From here, it's the same thing. You take your location ID and you set the room that you want. I believe that is 17. I'm going to change this. This should be a better autocomplete. So I think it's 18 or 19. We'll double check. So if we go here, I wanted to group it to 20, so I was off. From here, you can also test it. So my device name is this. I can test it against the rules. This will tell me which rule it matches first. So for example, we see it matches this rule. If I want to make one that overwrites this, the lower value wins. So I would create another rule. Oops. And we will set this value to 1. We're going to do starts with lab, and we can do this. I believe the parent site is 20. Well, no, I want this to apply to the main parent site, so 18. Alright, so this lab should preempt this rule, and we'll just validate that. So this is a catch-all rule, so it'll go straight to the master site. So, alright, quick edit. after rewatching the first video. I added in an extra parent site in a couple of rooms just to show you what it would look like if I were to look at the room layout, for example. Up here you can go through and change it, see different parent sites. You can rearrange them like prior. Also, the default grouping rules I actually changed, so you can filter on an IP scope now. So if I wanted to group a device based on whatever its loopback is, I can do that now. So I can just say, hey, if the IP address falls within this /29, put it here. You can also do the regex version of this. It's just easier to do CIDR as well, but there should be examples down here at least. So you can now do classification by host name, device type, and IPv4 loopback, as well as the location will autocomplete for you. So it should be easier to see now. So if I wanted to toss this back into, a different room, I can do that. Just to show you how that works, if I go back to this page and I view the parent site, there's no gear here. There is no gear on room 109. If I fire off a discovery task, against my test box. Also, by the way, for device discovery, you can do as much as you want. It's going to skip it if it's a duplicate job, or you can do CIDRs, and then you can just hit a block of boxes. So we will let that go. I can also check the task in the back end just to see what it's doing. So if I look at 1032.01, I see it's not active. Could be pending, so we'll double check. Not pending. So it's probably our last successful job. So it should have gone out and discovered this job. And you can kind of see anything that was returned from the back end. And we will go back to our locations. It should have gotten into this first bucket. And we'll see that it's there. From there, you can click here, go into the device tab. Or, click on the IP to go into the devices. And you can kind of see everything that it's found in this box. So this takes you straight to the config of the box that it pulled. You can also do quick compares, quick downloads. This menu is also, or that link takes you basically to devices, then device backups, or device dashboard if you want to search your devices that have been discovered. So let's go through and change the order of that. Now what I really want for this rule is I want a catch-all, but I want this catch-all to be the last rule. So I'm going to make this a better priority than this. So I'm just making up numbers, and then I'll test it. So this should take, once it rediscovers that box, it should take this box and put it back in room 109. And I will fire off one more discovery job. We will go ahead and take a look to see how that job is doing. It started. You can also see the information that was sent once the job was created. All these tables do refresh themselves every 10 seconds, or you can change it. So once this job is moved out of the active, it should either be success or failure. And then this should be the last job that got ran. So let's go back to our locations. Let's see. It's not in the parent site anymore. It should have gotten grouped into the rooms. And now it's here. On discovery, if this thing is backing up configurations, just as an aside note, it's never going to get rid of all the old configs. It's just going to change the grouping of the box and where it lands. So if I go back here and I add one more location, I'm going to put another room in here just for giggles. And my parent site should be 19 because it's in building 1. Now you'll see I have 2. I've got room 109. I've got room 110. If we look here, this gives you the identifier for that building, and then it gives you the identifiers for all the children's sites. So 20 and 21 are part of building 1. Now if I go click on this parent site, let's just say for whatever reason I want to rearrange the way this looks. I can do that. There's an autosave I programmed in every 10 seconds if you don't hit the save button, or you can hit the save button yourself. So that just changes how this looks, basically. So if I want it to come out a different way when I'm viewing, if this just gives me a nicer way to look at, which parent site buildings are grouped together. Because you could have 2 buildings, or multiple buildings, multiple rooms. You can also change them here. And that is it for this.